Night of Destruction. That night really lived up to its name this time. This was the 75 lap Hornet Enduro, and I went out in my normal season car, and Alex took out his old backup car, the original K9. And as most people know by now already, Alex ended up cartwheeling his car over top of Cordell's car in turn 3. It was a really ugly accident. Luckily, both guys walked away. Both very sore from what I hear. But both cars ain't looking so pretty. When Alex ramped off of the bottom of Cordell's car, he ended up, I would probably say 10, 12 feet in the air, and landed on the right front corner and then the left rear corner. And as you can see, this strut tower, I mean, its floor is buckled up. Where the frame rail runs is all pinched up, pushed into here. It's wadded up real good back here. See the big clod of dirt where the back left touched down on the track. This frame rail is just bent way up there. Everything with the way we got the cage welded in here, and that crossbar and everything stayed put. Nothing shifted out of place, no buckles or anything like that. If it were only damaged back here, I would just chop all this off and we'd tube the rear end and still keep this thing around as a backup. But unfortunately, Alex landed with the right front corner first, and that hit hard. You can see the frame, it takes an abrupt turn downward and then back up again. It's wadded up good. Engine's laying on the subframe, axle's rubbing, strut is bent. You can see the frame rails pulling this mount down. This strut tower is folded over top of the frame rail now. So, that's our first car junked. It's kind of a sad moment for us because this is the first car we ever messed with in this Hornet class. Alex bought this car a while ago, and this is pretty much what we've learned everything we know about Cavaliers on it. That's where I started designing my standalone harnesses, and it's kind of a shame to have to cut it up now, but it is what it is. That's racing. Miraculously, the engine still runs great. We actually managed to drive it onto the trailer that night. It was sketchy, but the car was still driving. We had to pull the core off of the intake because it snapped off the throttle position sensor, so it was idling really bad, but it still ran. I just slapped a spare part we had on there just so that we could move it around here. And then a spare wheel. I mean, you can see that control arm is tacoed. Everything up here is just jacked. This car has been on the frame rack 3 times now, and it's all been up in this corner or in the front end. And we honestly, there's a small chance we could straighten this out, but we've straightened it out so many times now that it's just not worth it. So the plan is to start cutting this thing down, chop the cage out of it, and put all this stuff in one of the other spare Cavalier bodies that we have around here. That'll be the end of the original K9 car. I'll document that process just to show how it goes. But luckily, the safety equipment did everything it was supposed to. And both Alex and Cordell got out of their cars and were walking around. So I say, we definitely make these cars safe. I screwed up a bit. And by a bit, I mean a lot. Not being fully aware that Alex and Cordell had just wrecked right behind me, I was racing the hell out of my car. I was in the lead, and I was just focused on trying to put as much distance as I could on anyone behind me. And went through turns 1 and 2, and came down the back stretch and saw that the entire field was dead stopped. And I locked my brakes up and just packed the back of a car that was stopped. I mean, I feel terrible that it happened. Not to try to justify anything, but I am completely colorblind. I am terrible with colors. And I wear a yellow tinted visor on my helmet because it works good day and night. And because we don't run race receivers, no one was announcing the red flag, and there was really no one in front of me at that point, so I didn't see anyone stopped. And zooming right by a little traffic signal on the side that was very clearly red, but to me it was just a light that was on. I screwed up big time and just blasted a car. And I'm sure a lot of people noticed. They backed me all the way back up to turn 2, right in front of Jesse again for that next restart. So I thank God for my big push bar. Saved my radiator, so I was able to at least put some more laps out there. I will have to fix that, and it wadded my hood up real good. I led, I don't even remember, a dozen or so laps after that point, until I was coming into turn 1, and there was some lap traffic in front of me. It was one car that was kind of dragging its left rear wheel out the side of the car. And he kind of went mid-track to high going into one, so I dove low to pass him, and as soon as I got right next to him, he made an abrupt left, and it hit me in the wheel, and it just popped that tire immediately. And I initially didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was just a flat tire, but it hit so hard that it bent that control arm, which now the axle's into the subframe, bent that tie rod end. That's been smashed a million times. And I think the strut's probably bent too. And that ended my night. This is absolutely fixable. I mean, I'll get this thing back together before next week. But it's a shame. This will be my first Enduro that I've ever gone into that I didn't have a podium finish. So I was a little bummed about that. But still ended up finishing 6th place. So I got a little trophy for that. Put that on the shelf. But to say that we have some work ahead of us is an understatement. So I'll get my car all squared away, at least for this week. Alex's new car is in the box right now, and it's race ready. I ain't got to do anything to that. We'll get mine all freshened back up, and it'll be time to start dissecting this thing. And whether or not we end up putting all the stuff into that thing back there, or into that one back there, or the yellow one that's up in the front yard, or even the cobalt that we have, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But there have been several people asking me for how-to videos on how to build these things, so maybe I will follow that process a little more in depth this time, try and make some more informative videos. But that's pretty much our night of destruction update there. See you in the next one.